Army knife. He's a little bit of everything. He's a pastor. He's an evangelist. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's also a corporate life coach. He is just an all around good guy. And welcome him back to the program. Hey Brady, how's it going, man?
I'm exhausted just sitting here listening to all of that.
Well, I'm exhausted saying it.
Yeah. You forgot singer, band manager,
that's right.
And Nashville's rock and roll reverend. I have no idea where that came from.
That's right. You are those things. You like are in a 80s cover rock band, aren't you?
I am, and it's amazing to see what happens. I know this is going to be crazy for some people who might know me from other realms. It turns into a revival almost every time we do it. We end up standing there, we end up praying for people. They give me freedom to get on there and preach a little bit, in between some songs. And it's pretty amazing. You're looking at the only human being who's ever preached about a 10-minute sermon before living on a prayer by Bon Jovi. And people lift their hands and praise the Lord. And they're like, wait a minute, what is this? Hang on a second, So
yeah, I didn't think I was coming for this, but it's a nice attraction. All right. Well, I wanted to bring you back because you are such a ball of energy and you're got so much good stuff to be able to share with people. And one of the things I think that you are so good at is reaching out to broken people, and we're all broken to a certain extent, sure. But those that really struggle with whether it's an addiction or whether it's some kind of abuse from their past or a million other things, you just have such a special gift, I think, from God to minister to those people. And that's why I like bringing you on to talk about it. And I know we started last week talking a little bit about how to break the spirit of fear in our lives, especially as believers. And I think we just started to kind of scratch the surface on that. So let's kind of pick it up and do kind of part 2 about that.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And we were talking last week about this idea of the spirit of fear. Paul told Timothy, he said in his last letter, he said, look, T, God is not giving you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of sound mind, And I talked about last week, just for those that might not remember, I barely do myself, but and it's this idea that the spirit of fear is like a dark cloud that continues to push on somebody's life, hangs over their head, and it actually stymies good decision making in your life. God goals may be in your spirit, in your heart, but the spirit of fear will work every day to push you backwards on that. I had just started talking about when Peter and the fishermen boys were sent out onto the sea, and they went out into a place where, suddenly there was fear. And it was crazy to me, because I think I mentioned this to you last week. The spirit of fear that seemed to hit the boat was, when it hit Peter especially, why? He's a fisherman. This was his heritage. He'd been on that lake, been on that sea 1,000 times, if not more. And he was challenged in an area that he was most competent in. And I think that's what the spirit of fear does. I'm seeing this spirit of fear like that operate now in the lives of, and I hate to say this, church leaders, where normally they were very competent to lead the church or do this auxiliary ministry or whatever. Man, the spirit of fear can come on you, and when it does, and that dark cloud sits down, just like Peter getting afraid on his boat, you can get afraid in an area that you're used to ministering in or competent in. The other thing I thought about this, and I think you'll love this. You could take this and run with this anytime you want to. They were in the middle of that sea when the storm came. Watch out for trouble in the middle. Trouble in the middle of what? Trouble in the middle of your life. Trouble in the middle of your business. Trouble in the midlife trouble. Marriage midlife trouble. Trouble always comes in the middle. The spirit of fear always jumps on us, I believe, when we're the least grounded. There you go. We're in a boat. Yeah. We're in the middle, and there's no solidness underneath us. If trouble came in the beginning, it had that spirit of fear would have never hit Peter and the boys when they were docked. It only comes when you're the least grounded. So if trouble comes in the beginning, you would have never sailed in the first place. If the spirit of fear would have come in my life when I was starting in ministry, I would probably not be in ministry, would have never gone into ministry or anything else. That's why I think most people are happily married on the first day. Everybody
Yeah,
enjoys
right.
everybody enjoys their new job on the first day. But what do you do when you're in the middle of life, in the middle of business, in the middle of your ministry calling, and a storm breaks out? I think the spirit of fear always jumps on us when we are the least grounded in life. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it does. It does to me, but
You know what? I think it does make a lot of sense, because I think what happens is we become comfortable and complacent, and things, I got this.
Yep.
I have done this for X amount of years. I've been a faithful spouse for 15, 20 years. I've been a good employee for 50. I've owned my own business for this amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think the key part of what you just said is the grounding. You're not grounded as much anymore because, hey, this is my life. I got pretty good handle on it.
That's right. That's right. And that's a trust factor from the Lord, because
Yeah.
you're out in the middle. Let me quote the apostle Paul. For by now you should be teachers. You should be growing, but in the middle of it, you don't know what to do. Why is it that right now the people watching you and I, the highest suicide rates in North America right now are men about the median age that you and I are, in the middle of life? What is it? And I can tell you, if we had time, and I know we don't, I'm telling you, brother Steve, it's crazy. The amount of suicidal, addictive people that just send me a prayer request. Brady, please pray for me. A lot of guys, middle of life, least grounded, unsure, and that's when the enemy loves to throw even more of that dark cloud on somebody's decision making for their life.
Brady Weldon is our guest here on the Steve Marston Show. Well, let me ask you that. Why do you think that is? Is it simply because they have gotten away from their spiritual heritage, or got away from that grounding, or is it something else?
I think it could be that, but I think it could be something else. On ships, we're talking about boats and ships with Peter and the boys. On ships, back in the Bible days, they would slather, I think that's a word, slather, on the inside of the ship pitch or tar, so that anything on the outside that could try to penetrate the inside of a ship, the pitch and the tar would putty up the cracks and everything like that. What I think is happening is that a lot of times in a lot of our lives, when we get in the middle, we're not doing maintenance a lot of times, unfortunately, also on the fact that, hey, I've got some cracked areas. And you don't want to become involved with people who don't have anything that could penetrate the wall of your ship from sailing forward, if you will. And I know that sounds like a good sermon, but the thing is, I want to be around people who help build me up so I can go through whatever I'm going through without, the old saying, ships only sink when that which is on the outside gets on the inside. And the moment that happens, the spirit of fear will push you right into a corner and you won't move at all.
And that's the thing about the spirit of fear. More than anything else, is that it tends to paralyze us. We just want to just kind of, like you say, lock down and not do anything. And when you get isolated, you and I both know this, I really believe this is the enemy's number one goal for him to get us to be, and that is isolated, feeling alone, feeling like you're the only one. That's when he can really go to work on.
Well, and the enemy is really good at helping us justifying to ourselves and our inner circle non-movement, if you will, non-sailing, if we can use that one. Most people, when they're faced with the problem, the storm around them, and maybe the solution in front of them, which the solution in this case, in this Bible story, was Jesus coming toward the boat. And people say, well, I'll just stay here. At least I'm in the boat. I'm okay right now. I'll drown if I try. And that is a subtle lie of the enemy who is working to steal your life. And so what do people do? They sit in their boat of mediocrity, rocking back and forth, thinking they're going somewhere when they're really not. And I'll say this, and I always get in trouble saying this, Steve. When you're in a storm and you're not grounded and you're not continually involved in what the Spirit of God is doing and staying connected daily to the Spirit of God's leadings and promptings, you this is crazy. If you think about it, what on that boat that day when Jesus came toward them, they were afraid. They called him a ghost, right? Matthew 14.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Because when you're not grounded and you're not involved in what the Spirit of God is trying to do, our lesson 2,000 years later is simply this. God is hard to recognize when your focus is your fear.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
true. It really is. I mean, because you're so right. When they're in that storm and they are petrified with that spirit of fear, Jesus would have, the Bible says, would have walked on past them. And they didn't even realize who he was. And here we are. These are not strangers to Jesus. These are not
No.
just people from the multitudes. This is his closest 12 people on
And
earth.
we've got people who are, I am with people on a daily basis who are afraid to live their life. They're afraid. So what they do is they go, well, I'm in the boat and I'm just going to row here and I'm going to, or whatever, and I'm going to do. And so we got people rowing away in their 20s, rowing away in their 30s, rowing away in their 40s. Jesus is right there. And the
Yeah.
question is, when are you going to get out of this boat? When are you going to? And I say this with passion because I've been there, Steve. I've had moments in
Yeah.
my life, I know you have too, where God is calling me to something, but I wouldn't walk in it because I needed more evidence. Can you imagine somebody on the 12th story of a building? I'm on the 6th floor here, but imagine if this place that I'm in right now caught on fire. And down below there's a big trampoline with 30 firemen and a big red dot in the middle of the trampoline, and the building's on fire. The fire's coming, pushes me out this door, and they're saying, just jump, jump, jump. And I lean over with my nice little spiritual church self and say, do you have any other options? No,
Right. I
you
know.
jump or you fry. And we have a
Yep.
generation of people who are terrified to live their life when God has shown them, look, if you'll stop being self-conscious and quit worrying and become God conscious, that's when the bravery returns and that's when the spirit of fear begins to dissipate over your life.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Brady Weldon here on the Steve Marston Show. Just in our final couple of minutes, we've identified the problem. What's the solution? I think you covered it a little bit, but let's get in a little more detail. How do we break that spirit of fear?
Okay, that's a very important thing. And by the way, just so you know, there is a book called Fear is Broken that is available on through our Facebook pages. It's very short, but it's very powerful, and we can ship them to anybody that wants to order them, and or got people doing Bible studies with them in small groups and all kinds of stuff.
Fantastic.
It's called Fear is Broken. There's two things. Number one is the storm itself. We've talked about the storm. They're afraid of the storm. The second thing is they were afraid of the solution that was walking by them in the storm. So therein lies a whole, that's a gold bar of a whole lot of things right here. Because the question then becomes, what is it that's down inside of you? What is the thing that you would attempt to do if you could get the spirit of fear off of your life? And the issue is to stop being so self-conscious and become God conscious in that moment. That's the thing that caused Peter to throw his leg over the boat and take off kicking whitecaps, walking to Jesus. Because Jesus had to say to them before he did that, fear not, it's me,
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, the question is not only the storm, but then comes the solution. The solution is there's one question I'm supposed to ask. Jesus, is that you calling me? Because not how am I going to pay for it? Not do I have enough patience, or do I need another wife or another husband, or how do I move to my life? No. Lord, is that you that just said, fear not, it's I, don't be afraid? Because if it's you, then I know immediately from my past fishing experience, sailing, if it's you, then no devil in hell can stop me from walking on top of. And the thing is, I can walk on top of what other people have drowned in.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
I
That's
have
so
to
good.
know if the Lord is with me, I have to know God is that you. If that's the Lord, then draw on your past experience, because fear is something that will never just stand in front of you like this. Fear is always going to push you. It's going to push you backward. Church leaders are dealing with it. Business people are dealing with it. Artists, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Artists deal with it every day. People who live by faith deal with this every day. And you cannot passively get rid of the spirit of fear. You have to attack it in warfare prayer.
Absolutely. Brady, out of time again, man. It goes so
Yep.
fast. Give everybody your contact information, how they can get a hold of you, and maybe get that book too.
Yeah, absolutely. We have two Facebook pages. They can find, just search Brady Weldon on Facebook. There's a Shopify store on the Facebook pages. Also on Instagram, TikTok. We've probably got coupons to the grocery store. We've got, you name it, brother. I'll get
That's,
anything we need.
that's
So
awesome. Brady, we'll talk to you again next week.
love
Thanks,
you
man.
guys. Take care, brother.